everyone, my name is PearlescentMoon and welcome back to another video. This video is a long time coming as I've had the build done for some time now. However, I've just now gotten around to editing all that sweet video footage. I'm excited to present to you my Elder Guardian and Axolotl build. This build is directly inspired by 1.17 and the teasers shown at Minecraft Live, where they had shown a peek of a player in an ocean monument fighting an Elder Guardian alongside their faithful, cute axolotl mobs. And I wanted to build just that, but in my own way, spicing up the scene with a touch of fantasy and style. This build also has its own article on Minecraft.net. If you'd like to give that a read, I'll leave a link down below in the description of this video. With all that said, let's get into the build process. When it came to building the Elder Guardian, I imagined them as some sort of eyeball creature with spikes on a tail. And that's exactly what I ended up creating. Starting off a sphere, utilizing placeholder lapis blocks, I began to mold my shape. I suppose I like to consider this stage of the build to be like sculpting, as if you were to shape it with clay. This is the moment where I grab the ball brush with Voxel Sniper and create my rough shape with each sphere as I go. Once that is done, I then smooth it over to create that soft curvature of the eyeball head and the tail out the back. I avoid creating too many diagonal or flat areas to ensure the smooth organic flow carries throughout the build. For the eye itself, I simply hollowed out a semi-sphere shape into the larger zone in order to embed the eyeball into the socket. Keep in mind, I'm probably going to be saying sphere a lot in this video. Yeah. Anyway, creating the eyelid over the top gave it that extra bump on the body, all the while helping to create the intimidating drooped eyelid to be seen later in the process. Now, the eye isn't attached to the external layer, so I did dig a few layers behind the eyelid to separate the two pieces from one another. Afterwards came the fun part. The spikes. I think my favorite thing to make in any build, whether it be structural or organic, are spikes. I don't know why, they just look cool, okay? Creating a thick base and then tapering to a fine point allowed that spiky shape as seen on the Elder Guardian mob itself. However, of course, because I was taking this in my own fantasy direction, I added some subtle curves as if they were flowing through the water. I imagine sea creatures to be quite elegant, regardless if they are horrifying monsters or not, so it had to get its beautification. With each spike added, I had referenced the placement on the real Guardian, and I'm quite happy with how they turned out. Because the Guardian's shape is quite simple, I could already move onto the colouring of this creature. I went through a few palette iterations, moving from purple to blue and then to a prismarine aqua. Overall, I got the feeling that despite the spikes being purple on the Elder Guardian, the aqua shades blended quite nicely with the body itself, and I eventually decided to take my own route. The eye in the model has a slight red hue, so I went for a contrasting bronze look in the eyeball itself for my build. Looking closely at my reference, I noticed there seemed to be cracks running through it, so I added some of my own. Cutting a block deep into the shape had successfully created the crevice I was going for, so I darkened it further with some cyan terracotta, all the while adding some smooth colour gradients around the build for light simulation and colour depth. Without this stage, the build would feel flat, and I really wanted this to pop in its own stylistic way. Utilizing stone, light grey concrete, the base clay, diorite and then white concrete, I was able to create that shadow and highlight shift throughout the body. After a while of avoiding the tail entirely because I wasn't happy with it, I decided it was too stiff and restarted that portion completely. In the tail reboot, I created a more flow that was similar to the spikes, allowing that stylistic elegance decision to carry on right to the tip of the tail. Even with the revision, I still felt like I needed to take a step back a bit, so I decided to move on to making some small, cute axolotls. Unfortunately, the design of these did not come as easily as I hoped they would. Creating organics at a smaller scale is quite challenging. The smaller you go, the cubier it gets. The details I was hoping to put in had ended up a little awkward. Not to mention, I would really love some more subtle pink blocks. I struggled getting the right tones that I wanted for your standard pink axolotl. You've pretty much got white terracotta and that's it in terms of pink. A good gradient anyway, everything else is so vibrant. Anyway, in time I created larger axolotls that were able to hold more of the shape and position I was going for. but I'd still kept the smaller version alongside them for a little bit of variance in scale. In real life, axolotls can be pink, black, and green, among many more as their common colours, so I decided to base mine off that. When this build was created, axolotl mob colours weren't really final, so I had to take some guesses as to what colours the ones in Minecraft specifically might be. These creatures also tend to have a very transparent tail, so I ended up using some glass to simulate that, as well as various fences to act as their small, feather-like earpieces. They're so fluffy. I mean, they look fluffy anyway. After taking a break from the tail with the axolotls, I moved back to it to finish up that colour touch that it needed. This is the time that the build itself had to be placed in a proper environment. The easiest and most fun way I could think of doing that is by grabbing some vanilla generated terrain and then smoothing it over while using my voxel sniper brush tool. I did this part while I was live on Twitch and unfortunately forgot to hit record while smoothing. Typical. So this is what some mountains looked like after being smoothed over. From there, I was able to use the angle mask within World Edit to colour my terrain. The mask allows me to select all blocks under a desired slope degree, so then I can then recolor them. This was done colour by colour, decreasing the mask angle each time until my shallowest layer of green was placed on top. Using this just makes the process quite a lot faster for me to continue building all the important details atop the terrain itself. I felt that a large-scaled kelp plant was a nice accompaniment to the Elder Guardian, and created my own variations to then paste around the build and decorate the environment. Smaller forms of coral were added alongside some small pufferfish from my A Builder Day series week 2 video, and I was pretty happy with how it was all coming together. In the end, I decided to place the whole build on a type of box in order to restrict it to its own space. Without it, the build would feel like it could stretch for miles on such a flat, creative world. And with that added, I called this creation done. It was a super fun piece to make while I hadn't made any large-scale organics in some time, and I was able to see my own portrayal of a fantasy version of that scary Elder Guardian mob. What do you guys think? Are you excited for the 1.17 cave update to release? Let me know in the comments below. Now, I don't usually ask this, but if you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel, where I'll have many more wacky build creations and tutorials to come. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys! Goodbye!
He's a cute little guardian. Yes, he's very cute.
See you everyone, bye!